So you know how they say a good bottle of wine gets better with age? At first, it might not taste the way you expected. It's a little unfamiliar, maybe even a little too bold. But over time, as the flavors start to settle, you realize just how special it really is. Today we're diving into Drake's dance album, Honestly Nevermind. An album that caught fans and critics off guard, but one that I think will stand the test of time. Let's get it. Alright, first let's set the stage. Honestly Nevermind was released on June 17th, 2022 as a complete surprise. This project was Drake's play into dance and house music. It was an unexpected shift from the rap and R&B vibes we've come accustomed to getting from Drake. It had a team of talented producers from Black Coffee, Gordo, and obviously Drake's number one man, 40. This album pulls heavy influences from house, Afrobeat, and electronic music, which is probably why it got as much as harsh criticism as it did. Drake explained in his Apple Music interview that the project was about freeing himself from the expectations people placed on him. It's less about chasing charts and more about creating a vibe. And you have to keep that in mind while listening to this album. He later went on and said, and well, it worked for some, but for others, not so much. So he knew that the album would get a lot of criticism. And it actually reminds me of a lyric that he wrote on, what song was that?
So, chill shot glasses with Prosecco. Niggas so ignorant in our hood, they be like, why the fuck you making techno? I'm worldwide and this is just another.
Kind of mentioned that and how even his own friends or his own people even kind of looked at him sideways about creating an album such as Honestly Nevermind. So yeah, when Honestly Nevermind dropped, the response was divisive to say the least. People were expecting something more predictable. You know, Drake rapping over moody Drake type beats. You know exactly what I mean.
I don't think I'm conscious of making monsters out of the women I sponsor till it all goes bad, but shit, it's all good.
You know, giving us Instagram caption worthy lines to post under our pictures. But here's my take. Drake is one of the most consistent artists in the game. He knows how to deliver. This time, he wanted to take a risk. And just like every other Drake project, Honestly Nevermind is like fine wine. It gets better with age. After every listen over time, over months and years, you finally realize the replay value on it. Replay value on every one of his albums is absolutely spectacular, and this one is no different. And I think over time, this album will go down as one of his best. Now let's talk about the sound. This album, for the most part, is all about vibes. If you're looking for rapidy rap Drake, bar heavy Drake, it's not this album. As you probably already know, if you haven't listened to it, then this is a forewarning. They have deep house grooves and lush production that give the album a cohesive, smooth feel. Now, tracks like Sticky and Massive stand out because they blend Drake's signature melancholy type style with, hard, infectious beats. On Massive, you can feel the pulse of house music. It's euphoric with Drake's vocals gliding effortlessly over the track. And then there's Sticky, one of the most replayable tracks on the album, one of my favorites on the album, period. Produced by Gordo and 40. One of the most replayable tracks on the album. The song features Drake reflecting on his success while keeping the tempo up. And one of my favorite lines from the album is,
my mama wish I would've went corporate, she wish I would've went exec. I still turn to a CEO, so the lifestyle she respect.
One of the most talked about tracks is Jimmy Cooks featuring 21 Savage. For this track, this is the one rap heavy track on the entire album. And it feels like Drake threw it in as a reminder to you at the end. It's just like, I'm still the guy. I still rap.
They must have amnesia. They forgot that I'm him.
So look, I get why people were shocked when this dropped. Drake stepped out of his comfort zone and gave us something that felt more like a curated dance vibe, a curated dance album, more so than a traditional album. And yes, the initial backlash was loud, but as time passed, I've seen more and more people come around to it. To me personally, this album isn't about individual tracks. It's an overall experience. While listening to this album front to back is a great listen, the real value of the album comes out of when it's used as background music. More so like at events, or if you were, cleaning around the house, driving on a road trip maybe. I think that's where his bag is in this album. Drake challenged himself. And in doing so, he challenged his fans. And as someone who appreciates artists like Kanye West, Lil Wayne, Andre 3000, I respect the risk he took here. This isn't just another Drake project. It's a statement. It's a moment in his career. A lot of people won't understand it, and a lot of people just refuse to understand it. But if you look at it on the grand scheme of his albums, the grandiose of all these projects that he's put out over the 10, 15 plus years that he's been in the game, this one will definitely stand out in a good way as one of those albums where he really stressed himself as far as vocally and production wise. So if you haven't revisited Honestly Nevermind, I highly recommend you give it another listen. This album has something special to it. It just might take some time to fully appreciate, just like a fine wine.